Morning. Well, we're at Southern Cross, taking Diesel for a walk, and then we're going to get busy started on that series, what makes a blue water sailboat.
All right, so in the previous video, at the end of it, I mentioned that we were going to go over what makes a blue water boat, offshore sailing vessel, and I've got a lot of information compiled. I'm not a nautical engineer, and I'm not a professional sea captain by any stretch of the word, but I've done a lot of research, and I've seen that there's just 1,000 opinions, which mine are going to be opinions as well, but unfortunately there's a lot of not open-minded opinions that decipher through the pros and cons of each. They find a style that they like, and that is the style that everybody should follow, and that's not the case. We're going to go through numerous aspects of the boat. We're going to go through deck step mast versus keel step mast and the pros and cons there. And you know, a deck step mast has either a compression post or compression truss. There's a lot of variations of a deck step mast. There's some good points for deck step versus keel step, and there's some positives for keel step too. You know, ultimately what it's going to boil down to is what you prefer. Chain plate configuration, external chain plates on the outside of the hull or through deck chain plates, you know, two different options. Is one better than the other? I don't think so. Wheel steering versus tiller, I want to cover that. You know, I prefer a steering wheel with a binnacle simply because you can mount a lot of stuff on there. A tiller, really difficult to mount a lot of stuff on a tiller. But is that better than the other? I think it's personal preference. Spreaders, swept back spreaders versus straight spreaders. I'm not going to dig into dual spreaders, top and lower spreaders versus single spreader system, but we will cover kind of why they do a swept back spreader versus the straight spreaders, which we'll talk some about rigging. We're going to go across the top of the deck, you know, which honestly, deck configuration, the top of the boat, man, that's just 100% personal preference. So I'll explain why we went with the one we went with. Hull design, full keel versus fin keel, modified fin keels, spade rudders, skeg hung rudders, transom hung rudders, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But you know, a lot of this is going to focus on the boat we ended up purchasing, why we went the direction we went with ours. It has nothing to do with, you know, what we got is better than some other configuration, because that's not the case at all. What we got is what we felt we wanted, the compromises we wanted to make, and the things that we felt it needed. Some of the most important things are pure stowage. How much can you stow below decks in the lines of provisions, spare parts, sails, you know, things that you need on a long passage. If you're just coastal cruising, you need a lot less than what we needed, but we're not going to be coastal cruising. We'll be doing 20 and 30 day passages where we will be reliant completely on what we have on board. You know, so stowage is important. An important aspect of a blue water boat is how much fresh water can it hold. You go off on a 20 day passage, and the way we figured it out, we're going to consume on average at least 4 gallons a day between the two of us, 2 gallons apiece. We've got 110 gallons worth of freshwater storage. We figure on our longest passage we will consume roughly 80 gallons of water. Now that's without the water maker offsetting what we've used. But a water maker is, to me, a very important thing to have. Yeah, you can catch rainwater, but you know, it's not always going to be raining where you're at. So you know, we're going to cover a lot of this stuff, and definitely want you guys to pitch in, you know, leave comments, ask questions, point out things maybe I've missed, bring up topics that you'd like covered, whatever. I want to try and get a single information area for this topic. What, you know, the research I did online was unreal. Years of reading books, reading articles, researching online, individual boats that I've looked up. We've looked at Lancers, CNC, Catalinas, Hunters, O'Days, West Sail, island packets. We've looked at out islands. I mean, we've looked at a ton of different boats, and you know, price point obviously makes a difference, but then trying to have the best combination of the features that we're looking for in one single boat with the least amount of work to get the boat to where we want it is ultimately what it broke down to. A boat that has as much of what we wanted all in one big fixture. So click subscribe, click like, and make sure you leave a comment.